Have you ever tried to convince a police officer that you did not push your friend down a flight of concrete stairs? Especially when she was screaming in terror just seconds before the fall. It is a hopeless task. They look at you with cold eyes that say they know you are guilty. They look at you like a monster, but they are wrong. The real monster was not me. It was the thing waiting in the dark that night. The thing that broke my friend Ashley. And terrifyingly, it is the thing that I now know was watching us both from the reflection in the glass. Let me explain how a simple favor turned into a living nightmare. Ashley was a former colleague of mine. We were close enough to grab drinks, but not best friends. She was the type of girl who was always put together. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, a logical career woman. So when I started getting frantic texts from her saying her apartment was haunted, I laughed. She said faucets were turning on by themselves. She said shadows were moving against the wall when no one was there. Our group chat made jokes about it. We sent ghost emojis. We did not take her seriously. But the messages kept coming, and they became desperate. I lived one subway stop away, so I agreed to go check on her. I expected to find her slightly on edge or maybe a bit drunk. What I found waiting for me at the 24-hour convenience store down the street was a stranger. Ashley was wearing thin pajamas and a coat. Her hair was wet and matted. She was shaking so violently she could barely hold her coffee. She refused to go back to her apartment alone. I felt a pit form in my stomach. This was not a joke. She was genuinely terrified of her own home. I convinced her to return with me. I told her it was probably just old pipes or drafts. I played the role of the brave skeptic. But as we walked up the stairs to her floor, the air grew heavy. It felt colder than it should have been. When we reached her door, Ashley froze. She pointed a trembling finger at the transom window. She whispered that she had left the lights on. She was certain of it. But the apartment inside was pitch black. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. The darkness seemed to spill out into the hallway. I flipped the entryway switch, but the main living room remained swallowed by shadow. Ashley would not cross the threshold. She stood in the hallway, paralyzed. To prove there was nothing to fear, I walked boldly into the living room. My plan was to cross the room and turn on the floor lamp. I wanted to show her the empty room. I wanted to be the hero. I stood in the center of the dark living room and turned back toward her. She was framed by the light of the hallway. I opened my mouth to say, "See, Ashley, there is nothing here." But I never finished that sentence. Moreover, what happened next defied all logic. Ashley looked past me. Her eyes went wide, stretching to an inhuman size. Her face twisted into a mask of pure primal horror. It was not a look of surprise. It was the look of prey realizing the predator is already breathing down its neck. She let out a scream that I will hear until the day I die. It was a guttural, blood-curdling shriek that tore at her throat. Then she bolted. She did not run toward me for protection. She ran away from me. She ran away from the room. She sprinted toward the stairwell. I heard her footsteps, and then I heard the sickening, wet thuds of a body tumbling down concrete steps. The next few hours were a blur of flashing lights and sirens. Neighbors stared. Paramedics worked. The police arrived and immediately separated me from the scene. They interrogated me for hours. They had reports of a domestic disturbance. They had a girl broken at the bottom of the stairs. They had me the only other person there. They thought I attacked her. They thought her scream was because of me. Eventually, they had to let me go. The text messages proved she was paranoid before I arrived. But as I walked away from the station, I realized the truth. The police missed the most important piece of evidence. It was something that happened in a split second before she ran. When I was standing in that dark living room, I turned back to face Ashley. Behind where she was standing in the hallway was a window. And in that split second before the lights flickered fully on, there was a reflection. If you could have zoomed into my eye at that exact moment, you would have seen the reflection of what broke her mind. In the dark glass behind her was a monstrous, distorted shadow. It had elongated limbs that looked like spilt ink. It was leaning over her shoulder. Its mouth was stretched wide open, mimicking her scream. It was not a shadow cast by an object. It was a shadow that stood on its own. I realized with a jolt of ice-cold terror that she wasn't screaming at me. She wasn't even screaming at the dark room. She was screaming because she saw it looming over her. And the worst part is when the lights finally clicked on, the shadow vanished. But I know it is still there, waiting for the lights to go out again. And now, I think it knows I saw it too.